Hey math students, this is for lesson 13. It's called Reasoning About Exponential Graphs Part 2 and a cool down called 2 graphs. So if we have enough information about a graph representing an exponential function, we can write a corresponding equation. So here is a graph of y equals f of x. So an equation defining an exponential function has the form f of x equals a times b to the x. So we've talked about this. This is like your slope-intercept form for exponential equations. It's not exactly a slope, I know that, but it's a growth or decay rate along with a y-intercept or starting value. So the value of a is the starting value, or f of 0 is our starting value, the y-intercept. And we can see that f of 0 is 500 and the function is decreasing, so it's going to have a decay rate. Now, the value of b is the growth decay factor. They call them all growth factors for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't like it. But it's a decay factor. It is the number by which we multiply the function's output at x to get the output at x plus 1. So each time we move over 1 on the x, we multiply by this decay factor. So to find the decay factor for f, we can take any y value and divide by the previous one. So 300 divided by 500, or 3/5. So we have our starting value, y-intercept, decay factor, 300 over 500. Now we can also use graphs to compare functions. Here are graphs representing two different exponential functions, labeled g and h. Each one represents the area of algae in square meters in a pond X days after certain fish were introduced. If you look at h, it has a lower starting value than g does, but g drops in value faster than h does. Pond A had 40 square meters of algae. Its area shrinks to 8/10 of the area of the previous day. Pond B had 50 square meters of algae. Its area shrinks to 2/5 of the area of the previous day. Can you figure out which graph goes with which pond? Remember, starting value. Which one's decaying faster? Well, we can see again, the y value start of g is higher. H is lower, G goes down faster. So, cool down, two graphs. Here are two graphs representing the function f, given by f of x equals 10 times 2 to the x, and the function g defined by g of x equals a times b to the x. So this is g of x, and f is the green one. My daughter's right here for some reason. You're supposed to be in bed. What are you doing? Oh, she's just mocking me for sitting here on the couch talking to myself. Good night. All right, so is b greater than or less than 2? Okay, well, this is referring to a and b in g of x. So is b greater than or less than 2? Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to compare it to f. What's the growth factor of f? And then does it look like g's growth factor is going to be bigger or smaller? Write an equation that defines g. Well, do we know our starting value? Can we figure out what our growth factor is by taking a number and dividing by the previous one? And then finally, what do the intersection of f and g mean in this context? Go to bed. Love you. What do they mean? Let me know if you have still questions. If you still have any questions. Now my wife is distracting me as well. This is why I don't work from home usually. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know.